Welcome back to Soul Sessions with Emma, sharing stories of people who have chosen to live honestly, to take risks, and to start again. Today, I'm joined by someone whose presence feels like an open doorway to another realm. Her name is Sarah Beirne, though many know her as Astara Healing. She is a Reiki energy master, astrologer, spiritual guide, and someone who has learned to translate the language of the unseen into something we can feel, understand, and use in our everyday lives. What I love about you, Sarah, is that your journey into this world wasn't straightforward. Like so many people who step into the healing work, your path was shaped by challenges, pivots, and moments that asked you to break, open, and then rebuild. I'm
Absolutely.
so excited to be talking with you today, Sarah. It's been a long time coming. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me, Emma. It's my pleasure being here. I feel blessed that we can both sit down here today and have a chat about this story. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to share it with you and your audience here. I'm really grateful. So thanks.
Yeah.
I suppose, what would you like to know?
Oh my goodness, where do we start? Well, before we dive into your amazing inspirational story, um, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Is it Astara Healing?
Yeah, yeah.
Where did you get that name? It's an interesting, intriguing name.
A brilliant question. I was
Yeah.
channeled it. I was given the
Oh,
name.
right.
Yeah, 100%. A couple of years ago, I was always talking about how I was going to start into my own healing practice and been down this journey a long time now, 16, sort of 17 years of healing. Um, I know how to channel and to connect with source. And I was in a strong meditation and they just gave me the name. And they were like, "That's your name, Astara." And I was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty cool because Astara, it has my name, Sarah, and healing." And there was a bit of a story around my name because I was born, my mum had me baptized as Sara, Sarah. But when I got to school, everyone called me Sarah with a H. So they grounded me down and said they anchored the H down on me. So the Astara healing is the kind of combination of the airy Aquarius Sarah name with the H of the healing of the anchored into this earth. And I think my whole journey has brought me to this point that I'm now rooted and grounded, but it's taken me so long to get to this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, wow, that's such an
Mm.
inspirational calling, isn't it, to get to receive your name in that way. So first of all, Sarah, I like to, or Sarah, I was about to call you Sarah actually at the beginning, so it's
And
interesting how that came to me, meaning princess, doesn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
princess, warrior,
Um,
princess.
yeah, there you go. So take us back to your early years, Sarah. I'd love to just find out a little bit about young Sarah and
Yeah.
what you remember mostly about that little girl that you were and the environment that you grew up in.
Yeah, I grew up in a normal house. I have a brother and a sister, and my dad was the local guard. My mum was a nurse. They're always in service, you know. So I'm used to kind of them helping the public and, always helping people and that. And my mum worked as well. She worked very hard. So I was minded as a child and minders and um at a very young age I became very independent. But I was also sensitive, very sensitive. And even I'd always be told, "You're so sensitive, Sarah. Why are you so sensitive?" And, I just felt everything. Like I could feel everything. I could see things as a child in people that other people wouldn't see in terms of, upset, around, especially concerning their heart. Okay. I really feel their heart. So I never wanted anyone to suffer or hurt. And I'd always try and get in there. So that wouldn't always be well founded, especially as a child or whatever, saying things like that. And then as I grew through my teenage years, I tell my friends certain things, "You're going to marry this guy," or "You're going to have this." And then it comes true, or then they'd say, "Sarah, these weirdos, all the weirdos always come up to you, when I'm on the street, because I can see that they need the guidance or they need the support." And so, yeah, maybe it takes a weirdo to know a weirdo. I don't know, but just that's who I seem to attract her. Um, people that need healing a lot or need help. But I have a really big heart, and so that brought me up to college, and I ended up studying languages and marketing, and
Mm.
I was always kind of a good girl in the sense that I put my head down once I qualified, and I got launched into the corporate world. Um, and I've been very lucky to have lots of really good teachers along the way. You know, I've been blessed that way. And I first started out with selling over the phone, which was very new concept in Ireland back in the early days. And I got trained under a man called Michael McGowan. Shout out to Michael McGowan, his School of Sales. And he taught me all of the techniques and how to sell and how to connect with people. Which is, there's a lot of psychology around that, you know, but I was always on the phone. So I had the phone here all the time. And I was selling databases, which is one of the awfulest things of trying to sell over the phone. Selling people's company information was a thing at the time. So I did that for a few years, and then I was headhunted into one of Ireland's largest IT distributors, where I really got thrown into the deep end in terms of how, you know, sales performance, working high end, you know, having to meet targets, stress, you know, you delivering, and the targets keep going higher and delivering. And I got to the point where I got to the kind of as high as I was going to go. The next position was going to be either director or CEO in that company. And I was only about 26, coming 27. So I was quite young. I was, you know, I was moving fast. So then I got headhunted again into another American company where I became head of European sales. And that's when I really started working very hard, really hard, and commuting. Like I get into my car. I built a big house in the countryside and a huge big mansion of a thing, and was half finished. And I'd drive in the morning. I'd get up at 5 in the morning. I'd head to Dublin, and I'd get into the office for 7. I was managing a team of just under 70 people, and then I might even finish work at around 3 or 4. Then I could go on a flight, and I might fly to Germany or to one of the countries I was in freight. So I'd have to have meetings with them and close some deals, and then fly back and then do the same thing again. So it's this rat race of going, no life. And then if I did get a chance, I'd go to Dundrum and I'd splash it on a load of clothes, or Liffey Valley, and then I'd come back. And I was looping. I was doing this kind of, you know, soulless kind of activity. Well, I felt it was soulless at the time.
Mm.
Um, so uh, in between all that, I got married at 28. I got married to a guy that I met at college, and I was only with him a year married, and our marriage ended because, well, I think there was many reasons, but I like to think that he fell in love with somebody else. That's what I like to believe. But I was working every hour God gave me to try and get the house done. And um, by the way, everything I'm saying is the truth, because I'm a 1 degree Aquarian. I can only speak the truth, so it's the truth I'm telling you. So when my marriage ended, I was absolutely devastated because he was having an affair, and I didn't see it coming, and I got an awful fright, to be honest. And my life just was like, in spirituality, a tower moment. I had a full on tower moment, and I found myself in the corner in like uh dressing gown like this, in the corner going, what's going on? What am I going to do? Like, this is crazy, And I had a big house I had to pay for. I had a big dog. I had an English Mastiff. He's like one of these giant dogs. I don't know if you know them, but
Mhm.
real softy, but a lovely dog. And I remember going, when am I going to feel normal again? When am I going to feel normal? This is shocking. And then I start realizing, how am nobody's going to get me out of this. I have to get myself out of this myself. And I had some good friends, and I started going down the holistic route a little bit. Now, I would have always been open to holistic practices. And this is 2010. So I headed over to Jenny Murphy in the Vibe Tribe in Salins. And I went in for a healing with her. And I came out so rested and so at peace in my soul that I went, oh my God, I need to learn how to do this because my nervous system is just after regulating here. I know that everything's going to be okay because I could feel it. I could feel the energy. I could feel the knowing that I'm going to get through this. I know what to do. You know, it's inside me. And she works with Reiki energy, so an angelic energy. So I was able to anchor that light in and know and have that comfort to say, okay, everything's going to be okay. It will, you know. So I ended up learning about Reiki then. And I said, Jenny, I can't afford to keep coming to you all the time. Cost me a fortune. I need to learn how to do this, you know, because I'll need so many sessions or whatever I was thinking. And if I can work this, do it myself, to myself, do self healing and that, I'll be able to build up my strength, you know. Um, and so I started. So I was learning how to be a Reiki master while I felt like an absolute weirdo at home, to be honest, when I'm from a village. So, you know, you're going to the local shop and people are giving you pity looks and they're like, you know,
Mm,
poor you, you know. And
mm,
I was like, oh my God, how could I get through this, you know? So I started, my brother was 2.5 years younger than me and he did surfing and he goes surfing up in Donegal. So I went with him and his mates. So when I finished work on a Friday, I literally go home, get changed, and I drive to Donegal. And we might go out for the night, not too much because we get up in the morning on Saturday and have a 6 a.m. surf in the water, which was brilliant,
mm,
and a fry up in the Smuggler's Creek or somewhere around. And then we'd, you know, go out maybe that night and then head home the next day. And it was like a bit of an escape for me, but it was just what I needed, being in the water, you know, just chilling out. And I was literally clutching onto whatever I could to kind of, because I was 30 at the time and all my friends were married and I thought I was really old at the time. And they all had they're starting to have babies and stuff. And then some of them be like, I hope you're not going to come after my husband and stuff. They'll like and I was like, what? I've had somebody have an affair. I'm actually not going to do it. On you when you've had it done to you, the last thing you want to do is do it on someone else. Like it's
mm,
the pain that somebody has to go through to experience that. If your marriage is not happy, you know, sit down and have the conversations, but don't you know, bring someone through that pain if you know if you can't express yourself, you know what I mean, rather than bringing a third party in. Try to keep things as peaceful as possible or as amicable as possible, and if you do need to split, then you know. So I had no intention of stealing anyone's husband, you know. And then I had other people saying, "Oh, you'd be like a cougar. I can live my single life with you." And I couldn't believe the things people were saying to me, you know. I was like, "My
mhm.
God." Anyway, so life progresses, and I was reading the book The Secret at the time. Do you remember The Secret,
Yeah, I
Rhonda
remember
Byrne?
reading that myself. Yeah.
It's kind of one of the first ones you get into with spirituality,
Mm,
isn't it? Trying to
mm,
understand kind of
yeah.
what is this all about? You know, I found that was one. And and then I was like, right, manifesting. What does this mean? And starting down and using crystals and you know, trusting the guidance. And then as it progressed, then I met my husband Juan, and yeah, I had done a thing where I had a party called New Beginnings, and I wanted to stop everybody looking at me with pity. So I held a big party in my house and a local pub. Some of the girls came down. We have a local pub called Furies. And they made amazing cocktails, the best cocktails ever, mojitos and stuff. And
Mm,
I held a big party and called it New Beginnings because I just wanted to just end the whole thing. I remember one of my friends going, Sarah, this is like a wedding. I said, well, it's kind of the opposite, but yeah, we're getting
mm,
somewhere. And my husband, now husband, came because he worked with me in the last company, and he said, I'll cook for you for your party. He was Argentinian, so he brought a load of meat and he cooked up on the barbecue, and he made a load of chimichurri and you know, like lovely
mm,
Argentinian food. So we had a start of a new beginning party, and that's kind of where we met. And
mm,
I remember meeting him, and you know, he's saying, you know, Sarah, I'll carry your backpack for you, you know. And I said, Juan, you know, I don't know if I can do this, you know, because I'm just coming out of one thing. This is just major for me. But to be fair to him, he said he'd do it. So
mm,
we grew together. He was starting out in his career as well, and I'd come from the corporate world, so I knew how to do it. I knew how to talk the talk do what had to be done while I was healing. So, as we got together then, I got pregnant. I went to Paris and I went to the Sacre-Cœur Church. And at that stage, I was probably 3 years into healing. I was a master at that stage. Um, and I went to the Sacre-Cœur Church and I lit a candle and I said, I'd love to have a baby. And I didn't tell anyone. And I got pregnant that night from
Ah,
the can. Yeah, that night.
not
And
from the candle now, Sarah. Let's make this
not
clear.
from the
Okay.
candle. The Immaculate Conception. So, yeah, in Argentina, they say the stork brings the baby from Paris. So Sophia came from Paris,
Oh,
and so
wow.
yeah, so I got pregnant with
Yeah.
Sophia, and I started noticing. So in between, oh yeah, I know, important point. While my marriage went, my job went at the same time, right? Like literally 3 weeks later. I
Wow.
forgot to make that was a big
Yeah.
point. So I was gone from earning a corporate job to basically Obama came in and offered an initiative to all corporates to retrench back to America because he gives them tax breaks to do it. And we were one of those companies,
Mm.
even though we were delivering results. So we had to make 70 people redundant, which we tried to transition through and everyone got sorted. And I lost my job. So here I was, no marriage, no job, huge house to pay. 2008, it was the crisis. Remember the crash in 2008 when subprime
Yeah.
mortgages and all that has
Yeah.
happening. So there was a lot of pressure on me at the
Yeah.
time financially because I had to take the load for everything. I was divorcing my husband, and we had just built the house recently, so it wasn't like we had a load of capital assets. It was literally all on my shoulders at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
So
said,
huge
right.
amount of stress in your life, Sarah. Just what I'm hearing there, just to
Well,
recap, I mean, you went through, that feeling of overwhelm when your relationship ends and obviously going through that heartbreak. It's absolutely devastating. And then losing your job and finding new love and new beginnings, and then being dealt with, a beautiful baby, prospect of a pregnancy, but behind all of that, things were falling apart, or as it seemed. Is that true?
completely. Like I had no
Mm.
job. Well, my job was going, but I knew something inside me kicked in and said, I'll deal with when I was going through the divorce. I said, look, I'll get all that sorted, the paperwork, whatever, and then I'll deal with myself when I have my quiet time. And it's like the universe said, right, Sarah, we're taking your job off you now. You're going to sit in this and you're going to feel every bit of this. So I
Mm.
sat for weeks and I remember the sun coming in and out of the kitchen, and it was like night and day, night and day, night and day. And I was like, oh my God, when is this going to end? Like, I don't feel right in myself. And I really felt into, what I wanted. And then I decided, I said, well, I love skincare. I loved going to spas because that was my relief when I was in the job.
Mm.
I said, I wouldn't mind a job that was only 30 minutes away, not too taxing, something that I could do. And a lovely company in Trim, County Meath came up and they were looking for a sales manager. So it was a step down for me, but I was like, anything just to keep me ticking over into everyday life. And it was with beauty products for professional. So they were French cosmetics, French products that were used by therapists. So I went there and it was a real blessing for me for 2 years because it was a way for me to transition from being in that corporate world to an everyday easier flow life, and it was going really well. Nice people around the business and I was doing well. But then I got pregnant with my daughter and I had a very big thing happen then. So I would have been on the phone. I had the phone here like this, up against me all the time, selling, never stopped. And I ended up going into labor with my daughter. Now she was 2 weeks overdue, so I was quite heavy, but I started experiencing headaches on the run up to it. And I didn't know any different because I would have always got migraines in my life. Okay. So I always thought, oh, here we go, another migraine, and when I got a migraine, I used to have to go to bed. If I went on holidays, I'd have to just chill out or whatever for a day or two because the pain in my head would be hard. But anyway, the pain started building quite intensively in my head. So, so much so that I could barely function at the end of my pregnancy. Like I was literally leaving all the dishes there. I just couldn't do anything. I was literally going to work and coming home. And I was 2 weeks overdue. So I went in on a Wednesday and they induced me. And when they induced me, the pressure started building in my head worse. So the gels were going in, and I was into yoga at the time, so I had a yoga ball. So I'd be sitting on the ball like this, and then my head. So I was holding my head like this, and the pressure was building so much, and I wasn't sleeping, so I couldn't sleep with it because the pain was so bad. And the hospitals are so, at the time, were so over. They'd very little staff on that when they change over the nurses, they go to the wrong person in the room. And it just transpired actually afterwards. A girl from my local village was right beside me because she came up to me at the end of my ordeal and she said, they used to come to me and say, "Are you the girl with the headaches?" But they were missing me all the time. So the pressure was building. That was a Wednesday, then the Thursday. Eventually, on the Friday, my waters broke. But the pain was excruciating. And I'll never forget, a doctor came in to me and I said to her, "The pain in my head is really bad. Like it's really bad." And she said, "Do you not realize you're pregnant? You can't take anything." And I said, "Can I just get Nurofen? Because I know Nurofen worked for my migraine. It might just help." And
Mm.
she was like, looking at me as if I was being a really irresponsible mother, looking for this, but I needed it for the strength so that I could actually um carry through to give birth. Because I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but one of my biggest fears was giving birth. Like so
Mm. Mm.
I was like, I need my strength to give birth, and I'm in a really bad way here. Like my head is really sore. So anyway, they wheeled me up on Friday then to for the delivery, and I met this lovely midwife, and I said, my head is really sore. I wish someone would listen to me. Nobody was listening to me for 3 days. I was like, would someone please listen to me? So, um, sorry.
No, take your time. Take your time. It's such a emotional thing to go through, not only having a baby, but then you not being able to, focus on that and then you going through all that pain. It's
Yeah. So
horrific.
yeah. So I ended up
Take your time. Take your time.
I ended up giving birth then. And it was
Yeah.
14 hours I was in labour with the pain in my
Wow.
head. Now, subsequently, for those of you listening, I was
Yeah.
actually hemorrhaging in my brain at the time for 3 days. So I was having massive bleeds in my brain. So the pain in my head was worse than childbirth. So that was pretty rough. Like, I remember thinking to myself, if I can just get her out safe when she's out, whatever happens to me, it doesn't matter as long as she's okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so again, they kept me there. They kept following the protocol. I should have been brought to C-section if it was done right, but
Right.
they kept because I wasn't dilating fast enough. So that it just, and obviously my daughter was. They brought a forceps delivery. I had a vacuum, you name it,
Oh
everything
my
happening.
goodness, horrific.
Yeah, so it was fairly rough. I'm not gonna lie. But she
That's
came out.
traumatic, Sarah. That's absolutely traumatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was saying to you at the start of this, when I was thinking about what I was going to say to you, my left
Yeah.
eye started going red. My body
Wow.
started responding. I was like, oh no. Um, so once I gave birth to her, she came out and her eyes were wide open and she just looked at me and
Yeah.
I was like, hi, hi,
Yeah.
Sophia. And we knew she was Sophia straight away and she's just there
Yeah.
looking at me. And I went back and I felt like I went back to the ward with her, but I felt like the life was coming out of me. I felt like I was dying. I was
Yeah.
the life force was coming out, and I just kept pulling my energy back and pulling it back, pulling it back. And I remember, um, that night they wake you up every to feed the baby's protocol. But I
Mhm.
was like in bits. I felt like I was in war, that I was like I'd
Mhm.
been on the trenches. And so this lady kept us in, and I said, if I stay here, I'm going to die here if I stay in this hospital, because they're not listening to me. So
Mhm.
I just did what I thought was right. I know it wasn't part of it. I just said, I just had to get home. I just need to get home, get out of here. And once I'm home, I'll be okay. I'll figure it out. So I
Mhm.
got home, I got discharged, and I had a rocking chair, and I had her in my arms by my heart the whole time. So I'd be rocking her in the rocking chair all the time. But I was the pain in my head was really bad still. So I ended up talking to they send around the midwife to check you for postnatal depression and things like that. I said, I don't have depression. I actually think I'm dying. My head is killing me. I don't know what to do. So she sent me straight to the GP, who was excellent, and she sent me for to the Hermitage, because she said threatened subarachnoid hemorrhage. So I went home, and I said my goodbyes to the baby, and I went into the Hermitage. And that night, I'll never forget it. I went for a scan, and I'd never been on a scan before. Now they're gone much more advanced now, but they were like something out of Michael Jackson, these big white that they
Yeah.
put in, and I was like, "This is mad. I'm going into this chamber here." Um,
Yeah.
and I am an inquisitive mind, an intuitive. So I saw the
Mhm.
guy's reaction when he looked at my scan, and I said, "It's bad, isn't it?" And he went, I said, "Just tell me. I'm going to find out in the morning anyway. Just tell me." And he
Mhm.
said, wasn't supposed to, but he did tell me. And he said, "You have a large lesion in your head." And I was like, "What's a lesion? I don't know what a lesion is. Like, and is that a tumor?" Didn't know what it was. So I went back to my bed and Google. I started Googling, what
Yeah.
is a lesion?
Good old Google.
What is that? And I went, "Oh gee, Bruce, I'm in a bad way here. Like, this is pretty bad." Like, so
Mhm.
my mum's a nurse, so she knows a lot about that. And they arrived in, and my neurosurgeon arrived in, and he said, "Look, I want to deliver. Look, you got 2 months to live. If you don't get this out, I'll give you 6 weeks even." Do you know, it was pretty bad. Like, so, and I'm not even going to do a biopsy because it's so big. We just need to take it. And I won't do it in the Hermitage. We'll do it in Beaumont, because that's where they have the equipment. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want them taking chances or learning on my brain. I want to go where they actually know what they're doing. So it's weird how life has coincidences and things happen. And one of my best friends at the time was a nurse in Beaumont in neuro at the time. And uh, she was working in there. So she was able to give me good guidance to say, "Sarah, when you come in, it's not going to be like the Hermitage where it's all nice. Anything can happen when you're in there. That we bring in everybody. It's a public hospital." So I went home, and I have those in astrology. I have a Capricorn rising, so I make sure things are done right. So made an appointment with my local solicitor, and I made a will, because Juan and I weren't married and we had the baby, and I wanted to make sure that everything was sorted, so that if I did go, that at least they would be looked after, essentially. So I ended up doing that, and then I remember saying goodbye to my mum. Was holding Sophia as we went out the gate to go and have the surgery. And as I was going out the gate, Sophia gave me a smile. I know she's only a baby. They say, oh, they don't smile at that age, but I felt a smile from her, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I'll be all right. And I went into Adams McConnell Ward in Beaumont. Shout out to all the wonderful staff in there. And I sat down, and before you go for brain surgery, it's quite strange. They have to give you a lot of steroids and stuff. Well, they did for me, so it's just to contain the brain. So I was still with a big bump, because normally when you give birth, everything goes back, but I everything
Mhm.
held. So my whole body was holding. So I was holding all the everything of the pregnancy. So I was walking up the ward, and this man goes, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh," all these kind of little things where you're going, "Oh my God, my baby's at home." And then I'd have nurses coming up going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've seen your chart. I'm sorry, I can see I'm really sorry." And I was like, okay. So I the night before, the guy came in with all of the contract, and he basically, when you have to sign your life away, basically. And I said, there's no point me even reading this because I have no choice. I just have to sign it, and I just have to trust everything is going to be okay for me, you know? So
Mm.
I signed it, and I remember turning to him and I said, it's 10 o'clock at night. If you're up for 8 o'clock for surgery with me, I really need you in your top game. So go home now and get some good rest because I need you
Mm.
really strong for me with
Right.
your team. Um, and in the morning, then the guys rocked up with their big metal bed, and I had to put this gown on, and they were like, "Lovely day, isn't it?" And I was like, "Oh no, my gosh!" So I said, "Just give me a minute," and I went into the bathroom, and I just composed myself. So I just said, I used my Reiki and my guidance, and I called in all the energy, all my guides, all the angels, and I brought them all around me. And I was like, right, showtime, we got to do this now. Let's go, you know? And I found this strength then. Once I brought them in, I could feel this kind of energy strength around me. And I was like, right, let's go. I'm ready now. And I got up on the metal cold bed and I had the thing on me. the- And they wheel you down into a room and you're lined up in a row, you know? And I was 33. Remember that? 33, the Christ number, when this was happening. And I
Wow.
honest to God felt like I was on the cross. Like I literally, because I looked to my left and I looked to my right, and there was a man screaming in fear beside me, and he was having something done to his leg. And then I had to my left of me, I had a mum with her son, and he was going for surgery, and my heart went out to her because I was like, no mother has to sit with her son having to have serious surgery, like the pain she was going through. Like I was like, and I didn't have the heart to tell the guy next to me that I was going for brain surgery because he was having such a bad thing about his leg, because to him that was huge, you know. So when we went in and they rolled me into surgery, they have to shave your head. Okay, so uh I was already after having the episiotomy, so I was, my base chakra was completely cut open. I was still had my bump. I had, my body was fairly eh, battered, let's say. So I said, just go easy on my hair. It's the last bit of dignity I have. I was like, so she got my hair and she pulled it all up to the top, and she put a like a glove, and she wrapped it into it, and then they shaved all the way up, all under here. So I had like an undercut, like from the 90s. Do you remember that thing? So I had it all going up here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember going in and having the surgery, and I remember, the kind of back. And then I had I might as well tell you. I'll tell you what happened. I had an experience. So for those of maybe that don't believe in anything after life, I did experience something. So um I was brought in front of, so I walked into like like a marble floor with marble columns, like what you'd see in a church, but with no chairs, just all marble. And I walked up and I was brought in front of what I believe was God. Now, in my belief system, I believe he presents to everybody in what you feel comfortable, universe, source, light, whatever, Buddha. For me, he looked like a massive Santa Claus, right? With loads of like animals all around him, spirit animals, and
Mm.
they were all around him. And what happened was, from my solar plexus out came the auroras. You know your aurora, like a moving energy of your life force. Okay, so when you're on an iPhone, when you can swipe across like that.
Mm.
He was like that, looking at my life, going like this. And
Wow.
there was nothing in it. There was like I hadn't done any bad sins or anything like that. So he was like, and I remember I said, if you can give me a chance to go back, I'll just work for you. I'll do whatever I have to do. Just I'll help. I'll just be the help. So with
Mm.
that, he pushed the light force back into my solar plexus, right? So I went back in here, and then he guided me to the right, and I went down what was like a tunnel of universe. It was like loads of stars, loads of universe. And then I shot back into my body. And then I woke up, And instantly I knew I had to work my brain, because if I apparently the first 24 hours you can forget, lose everything. And I had the awareness to know that the body, even if you lose elements within yourself, you can still call the energy back of that memory back, even if it's gone, let's say. So they had taken out almost a third of my brain is gone. It's very large what's been taken. And it's all the functioning area of learning new things, reading, all of those elements have been taken. Yeah. So when I woke up, there was a lady with from Jamaica, I remember, and she had the most beautiful teal eyeshadow on her. And I said, "Oh, I love your eyeshadow." And she goes, "Oh, the patient's awake."
Mm.
And I went, "Right, get your brain working, Sarah, quick. You need to get all the cogs going." So I said, "Okay," at the time I was like, "What's my Facebook password?" And I started thinking stupid things, you know. And then they said, "And which patient, which ward is this patient on?" I went, "Adams McConnell ward." And then, "Oh, the patient knows." And then I started thinking about passwords, numbers, keypads for my phone, for my bank card, all the codes. I started thinking, I started working my brain. And then they wheeled me back to the ward. Now, the strange thing about it is I had a cross on my head like this, where they had the clamp on it. And I had the hair tied up with this pink sterile cream.
Mm.
I looked funny at the time. I must try and find a photo of it somewhere. But I was all these drains were hooked into me, and I knew for the first 24 hours I needed to keep my brain working. So I didn't want to sleep because I'd survived all that. I wanted to just keep myself comptus mentis, or whatever you call it, my
Mm.
cognition's going. And they wheeled a guy up in front of me. And I don't know if you remember Love Hate. Remember Love Hate series?
Yeah.
Were you away for
Yeah.
yeah, Love Hate. Well, it was around the final of the Love Hate, okay? They were the final. Everyone's building up to this, and everybody in the country was watching it. And I got into my bed, and this guy came up in the bed in front of me, and he was after being shot, okay? And I don't know if it was paranoia or what kicked in with me, but I was like, "Oh no, they shot him and he didn't die. Now they're going to come and shoot him, and I'm going to get shot because I'm going to see him." That's what I was thinking at the time. I'm after surviving brain surgery, and now I'm stuck with this guy in front of me now. And he kept
This
pulling
is
his
in the
drains out.
hospital this was
In
happening.
the hospital right in front of me, because it
Wow.
doesn't matter about
Okay.
gender, you're just put in
Yeah,
because you're in
yeah.
high dependency. So they have to keep checking you all the time.
Mm.
So this guy was put in front of me, and he was like, "I know you, I know you." I was like, "You don't know me. I know you." "No, you don't know me." So then he kept taking I said, "Stop taking out your drains. You need your drains." And he was pulling his drains out, but he'd been shot in the head and the leg. And the next morning, his mates arrived in, and they had a big the Sunday World, or one of them, and he was front page the Sunday World, one of those papers. And I was like, "Oh my God, definitely they're going to see me and they're going to shoot me now," because there wasn't security didn't seem that big in the hospitals. Um,
Mm.
so anyway, lo and behold, what happens when you have brain surgery is as you start improving, they move you down the ward, they move you down towards the door, so as you improve, you're kind of closer to the door. So he was improving as much as I was as we were going along. So we were nearly getting, you see, you've nothing to be doing. You're lying stuck in the bed, like you can't move, you can't do it. So you just have to work with what you got. So I remember the final came on and the TV was between us, between our two beds. And I said to him, I said, "This is like your life, isn't it, really?" And he goes, "Not a patch of my life, love." You know, It was like it was a real life, experience. But he walked away. He was fine. He headed off and he got on with his life. I was doing yoga and things like that in the aisles to try and get myself through it. And um, you know, I'd test myself. I'd go downstairs and put my card into the machine, and I'd put the code in and take the money out, which was a huge achievement for me at the time because that took an awful lot out of me. But one of the big things that came with was this fatigue, this tiredness I got was unbelievable. So I eventually got well enough that they could send me home, but I'd lost the vision in my left eye because that part of the brain, seeped into there was a lot of edema, swelling, and that kind of stuff. And when I went to ophthalmology, they basically said, you'll not in your lifetime, you'll never see again, you'll never drive again. That's it, And I was like, watch me. There's no way I can't. I'm only young. I need to be able to function. I live in the countryside. I want to be able to drive. So I got home and I had this newborn baby and I wasn't able to drive in the countryside. And my husband had to work. My family had to go back to work. So I was really left on my own in the house to try and fend for myself. And like it was hard because my orientation, I'd have to go up and down the stairs on my hands on my hands and my knees, and I'd be trying to get up there and get what was needed and then get down. And um I remember trying to be like every normal mother. I know that that was a mistake now, but at the time I was like, I can do this. I could be like every other mother. I can. And I had the christening like 6 weeks after I came out of brain surgery. And like I did it, but I was wrecked. I was so tired, like after the whole thing. And even trying to do Santa in Ratwood, I did that and nearly killed me, like trying to go around the train and all that, because the tiredness and the pressure. And another thing that comes from having brain surgery is because it's so intrusive on you. Um, in public, you get very anxious. You get like absolutely overwhelmed. And my sister at the time was working in Kildare Village, and I remember going in to Ralph Lorraine where she was, and I was like, I actually can't be in here. I need to get out. I need to get out of here. I just can't be here. It's just too much for me. All the stimuli, everything was settling.
Right.
Because when they work on your brain, it's very intimate area for you. It's not somewhere that you feel like someone should be touching your brain, really. That kind of way. Um, so I went on a healing journey, another healing journey of trying to get out of all
Right.
that physically, very physical energy. So um, I intuitively ate. So I would wake up, and when you have brain surgery, like dark chocolate, you look for chocolate, believe it or not. And then I subsequently realized that chocolate is good for the brain. Avocados.
Okay, you've just given me a really great piece of information there, which I love it. I'm a big chocolate
It's for your
lover, so
brain.
chocolate's good for the brain. Love it.
Well, and I
Yeah,
had a friend who, God love him, had to have brain surgery recently, and he went through the same thing as like craving chocolate. So I made him the nicest chocolate brownies. I said, enjoy those, because these are the things you look for,
oh,
that you
yeah,
and if
wow,
anybody's sick out there and they ask you for something, just get it for them, because they need it. They need the little luxuries, that kind of way,
yeah.
just to get them through, whatever they're
Mm.
going through. And I
And
had
like what
some,
strikes me there, Sarah, I let you
yeah,
follow your flow. I know you're sharing the rest of the healing journey, but what was really just striking me there when you're talking about even being in the hospital, there's just a real lack of humanity in terms of that could have been your final moments and you're left in a hallway more or less, and these other people around you also terrified. It sounds just really
hard.
sad, actually, that there's no one there to be with you in those moments and that
I
humanity
don't.
is
I
gone.
think it's, and I can only imagine for people during lockdowns, those that were having, how lonely they felt. Like life can be lonely
Yeah,
anyway, but when you're having to go through
yeah,
tough experiences, you need to feel the support around you. And I know my
yeah,
family were great, but they were in shock, like at what was happening, and they're very private people, so they didn't want to tell the world Sarah's going through this. So I literally could have gone under the radar, gone just like that. And, I was just another
yeah,
number, but I'm here to tell it.
mm,
And it was like,
yeah,
you're absolutely right, Emma, because you're just reminding me. I remember I asked to have a public health. I said, who talks to me post surgery? Like, who's going to come and talk to me? Where's the post care?
yeah,
And they're like, but you have a family, you're grand. And I was like, sorry? I said, and then because it was a grade 1 benign, but it was so big, obviously it could kill me. But because I didn't fall into the cancer category, I was between the cracks. So nobody was there to kind of go, this is a girl going back to a newborn baby with no way of driving in the countryside, no support, and she's trying to recover from a huge tumor post giving birth. Like, hello, like, where is humanity? Where is our care? Where is our system? Who cares? It's literally, who cares? So, and I know for a fact, if I'm not, wasn't the person I am, and we could talk about, past lives and things like that, experiences come true, I may not have made it, to be honest. Like, I
Yeah.
did have that encounter because my heart did stop on the table. There was things like that that did happen.
Mm,
But I had carried that pain, I had ignored those, migraines for years. I never put myself first. I always put everybody else first. And then when it came to a head, I was going to be gone because I'd given myself away to everybody else. Do you know what I mean? But our system is very poor that way. Now, I was lucky. I had a great doctor who guided me, and I got one of the best neurosurgeons, Dr. Ravlock, out there. Amazing guy, and he's going to be retiring soon. I was only talking to him recently. I said, please share your knowledge with the new upcoming surgeons, because they need people like you that are actually really good at what they do.
yeah.
Because he was so clean and he did it so well. That I'm here talking to you today, and I can fully, function.
Yeah.
But to go on from there, so there was no supports, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There was nobody, so I
No.
had to get myself going. And when you go through something like this, financially is another issue, because we live in a material world and you can't work. And let's be honest, you can't live on the system. The cost of living is too much, so that's an extra stress and pressure on people. Now, I was very lucky. I had the wherewith about me to insure myself, my salary, because I had such a big job. And I remember people saying, why are you paying that, Sarah? That's a lot of money. And because I intuitively knew I needed to keep it. Something told me, keep that, Sarah. That's you're looking after yourself if you have your insurance at your back. So I had it's not life insurance, it's salary protection. So it kicks in after 6 months. And once you're deemed to, qualify for it, you get it then. Um, but at the time, I would have been paying like, I think nearly £400, something similar a month, with my salary when I was working for this, just to keep it. So it was a lot of money of an investment in myself. Um, so I was lucky to have that, and that kind of kept me solid while I went through my healing journey. If I didn't have an Emma, I don't know. It would have been really, really,
Yeah.
like, I actually don't know, to be honest. The pressure was so much, like, so I got an au pair to help me drive. So it was a funny one. I had to get someone to drive. I needed a driver. I was really like it. So I got a lovely girl called Vivi from Colombia to come over, and she did my driving. I got a car and I got her to drive, and she'd drive because my little girl had to go to preschool and things like that. Um, so she stayed with us for a couple of years while I was healing, and I was intuitively eating. I kept doing my healing work, I kept building myself up. I go to Reiki shares, um, and I slowly found myself kind of coming back, and I eventually healed back the edema swelling all behind my eye. So when I went for ophthalmology, my sight was right. I was able to qualify for driving. I passed all the markers. So like, I do believe in miracles and miracles of healing, and I've been given grace there, and I'm very grateful for that. That was a big one for me. But I did move house here to Maynooth on the basis that in the future, if anything deteriorated, at least I could walk to the shops, or I could walk everywhere, that it wouldn't affect my driving and that kind of thing. So, um, leading on from there, yeah, what would you like to know now?
Yeah, wow, this such a inspiring story, Sarah, and I can hear the pain, and but also I can hear the strength in you, which is a
Mm,
beautiful thing to see. And yeah, you're right. Like, if you hadn't been the person that you are, you may not have may have been a very different outcome. So it's a beautiful thing to see that you had that strength within you. So that carried you forward then to, I guess, going on this sort of transferring healing to others as well. And one thing I know about you is you're a huge astrologer, and you've got a lot of knowledge about astrology, like huge amount of knowledge. How did that come into your life? You had been doing the Reiki and you were a Reiki master. Like, how did your interest, sort of turn to astrology, and had that always been there? And like, how did that materialize
yeah,
for
I used
you?
to always watch the horoscopes, even when I was in in work, we'd always check what the planets would be doing before we'd make business decisions. My colleagues, we go, right, hang on, what's happening next month? And we'd follow the guidance.
Mm.
I'm trying to remember the name of the one we used to follow, Astrology Zone or something. No, the Astrology Zone it used to be. I don't know if it's still there anymore. Um,
Yeah.
so I was thinking about spirituality, and when you channel, when you're intuitive, you can channel from source and bring light. Um, I wanted to find a way of bringing it onto physical matter. So for the left brainers that don't believe in spiritual stuff, that you could actually show them on a very physical level what's happening and why it's happening, and bring them the intuitive guidance behind it so that they can understand it more. So I felt like one day, no word of a lie, I was looking on the internet doing something, and I felt like, I know this sounds dramatic, but I felt like an angel or something jumped into me and got me to book onto this course. It was just like I had this moment of, what's going on here? And
Yeah.
I just booked. And then I went down to my husband and I said, I'm after booking an astrology course. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, I'm actually I'm going on to with this group. So it's this astrology dome, Galette Ryman, and she's 30 years experience. She's well known in astrology, and I'm on her first group of students representing Ireland. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And then I started going, oh my God, I'm so shouldn't be here. This is like, these guys are all families of astrologers. They're, in America, there's a lot of, it's been there for
Mhm.
years, or, most of them are a lot older than me, so I was like the baby. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? This is mad, but I slowly found my stride, and I was sitting in on the classes. She'd run them out of Hawaii for the most part. So I started skilling up, and something in me went, oh my God, I understand this. This actually makes sense to me. So be it from a past life or whatever, it's like I got ignited, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. Um, and the real reason I wanted to learn about birth charts was because I wanted to know, why did this happen to me?
Mhm.
I'm a acquisitive brain, and I'm not a victim, as you can tell. I just don't do victimhood. I have to
Mm.
find out, why are things happening and what's the purpose of this. So I went in, and the first thing we did was we worked on our own charts. And that was kind of a total eye opener. It was like, oh my God, my universe just opened up, and I went, right, this is why this is all after happening. This makes sense now. Okay, I get it now. And they discovered, we were working on each other, that I have a seal, which is like a sacred seal, a star seal on my chart, which is an angel star, which means I'm protected by angels, and it's a rare thing that you see on charts. So straight away, I got a bit of an insight going, okay, so I'm protected by angels. I'm always going to be safe. So even that bit of knowledge to myself, after going through all that trauma, I was like, I'm always going to be divinely protected. So I know that now. And that took away some of that nervousness or that fear as I
Mm.
progressed. Then I noticed about the issues with relationships, the marriage going. That was actually documented on my chart. I had to go through that, learning about not giving my power away in relationships, and all these little lessons were all showing up on my chart. I have what's called a Venus in Pisces in the first house. So that's your heart. So the Venus Pisces is basically the Jesus heart. So that's why I feel everything. And it can get overwhelming sometimes because my heart, I have a big heart. So I feel it, that kind of way. And I feel it on a collective level because I have Neptune and Sagittarius in the 11th house. So I feel it for the collective. So
Mm.
that's why sometimes, like it's raining outside, I'm looking at, you can feel the sadness nearly, when you go into a shopping
Yeah.
center and you're feeling so, oh my God, this is a bit overwhelming or whatever. You're feeling what people are feeling. It's hard. And I have a Mercury in Aquarius. So I speak like an astrologer, or, I have that in the first house, and a Capricorn rising. So I've like 4 of the 6 Jesus placements, which makes me a healer as well. That's so
Yeah.
being,
And when
yeah,
you
sorry.
talk about first house, sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting you, but just
Mm.
for people who don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
when you talk about first house or 11th house and Mercury rising, like for people who've no idea what astrology is, I mean, how do you explain it? Is it terms of the planets? how do you create a
So,
birth chart as such?
so your birth chart is a snapshot, a
Mm,
blueprint of the sky at the moment you were born, where the sun was
okay.
rising and the moon was, yeah, in the sky, and where the planets were positioned. And there's codes and meanings behind all of that in your chart. So it's
Mm,
all predetermined. It's all written there. So the planets, they act like the actors. They're all playing a part in your life. And then the sign that's with the planet is the style. And your life is, you're the main leading actor in your life. So where the planets are, so you might find that you've gone through a big lesson, maybe in love. Um, and let's say, for example, me, if it was Venus and somebody that was a Pisces,
mm,
I know what my Venus is in Pisces, so that they played a role in healing me on that journey. Or, you know, Saturn is your father's line, so it explains the relationship you had with your father. And each house represents a different area of your life. So your first house is who you are, how you embody, how you show up, your sun, how you appear to the world. Your second house is around money, how you can make and create money in your life. And it works all the way around your seventh house relationships, your 10th house, how you show up in public, or your career, how you are in your
okay.
your midheaven is how you show how you act in your career, what you're meant to do. And our north node is where we aspire to get to in this lifetime, what we were trying to achieve this lifetime. And our south node is what
Mm,
the tools we brought into this life and what we're actually trying to get rid of. So that's why I wanted to get into the birth charts, because I thought, well, if other people are struggling, at least I can read a chart and show them, you know, what's going on and why it's happening, and also how long it's going to last for. A lot of this pain, am I going to be stuck with this for the rest of my life? No, there's a transit coming up in May, and you're going to be out then, and you'll be cleared. It'll
mhm,
be over. So they like to know that, you know, where it's going and why it's going to last that long. So yeah, to get back to the astrology came in because I wanted to know why did these things happen to me, essentially.
mm,
And it's a blessing that I've been able to understand the meaning, because I'm not able to physically, or when I've had loads of tests, they show I can't learn new things, yet I'm here. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to, I hope I'm articulating this to people, that even if you lose a limb or you lose something, it doesn't mean it's gone. The energy is still there if you can just hold on to it yourself in your mind's eye and just believe that it's there. It'll always be there, you know? If
mm,
you've had an accident or something big happen, you just have to believe in yourself that it's happened for a reason, and that you can actually have signed up on some level for this lesson so that you can actually experience it and move through it and become a better person. And as healers, we have to walk these roads, and some people have to work very, very hard roads. It's because so they can be the light for other people, because they can see it in them, they can witness it in them, so they can shine it through to them. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it does absolutely make sense. And yeah, like you going through those tough times gives you a deeper understanding for other people as well. And when you're talking with the birth charts as well, Sarah, does that mean that our lives are almost predetermined, or do we have the ability to change our past? I mean, if it's all mapped out for us in a way, like are we able to maneuver around it, or like what do you feel like from your
You're
experience?
you're you're so intuitive, Emma. I love it.
Mm.
I love it. I love your questioning. Um, I was at Electric Picnic before all that happened, and I went to a palm reader. I don't know if have you ever been to a palm reader? And this it was a very
Yeah,
good one,
yeah.
actually. It was a very good one once. And she looked at my hands and she said, "How have you changed your destiny?" And she could see like stars on my hands. I was showing someone there recently about it. Um, and stars in your hands. People like me used to be brought on Christopher Columbus's boats and stuff like that, because you've
Oh,
seen as safe, for safe travels. But the reason I'm
nice.
telling you about it is that I believe everything is in our hands. I keep showing my hands, because it's in our hands. and I can guide from the chart and say, yeah, these things will happen. But I have seen very good healers clear so that some of the stuff doesn't have to happen because the energy work has been done to clear and remove. So you
Mm,
can steer the destiny more softer, if that makes sense. So the
mhm,
minimum outcome. So what I
yeah,
like to do is with the chart is look at them and then identify the body, maybe where elements are held, and release some of that stress and clear it so that the person actually gets the relief. So that there's a two-way happening. So they don't have to experience, or if they do have to go for a surgery, that it's the lesser of all. Essentially, it's the minimum that happens. But I have seen people have their destiny changed and fulfilled, and I do believe that if you've a great faith in source and ask for help, um, the right people come in, the right guides come in, they're there to help you. And that's something that I've had the whole way through all of this. And that's kept me right. And like I wouldn't
yeah.
have said I was the most religious person. I have been to Lourdes 3 times. I love it there. I do it in my own girly way. We go shopping in Biarritz and then we go there and I just do it. I don't do the big, pilgrimages. I do it
Yeah.
girl style. We stay in 5-star hotels, go to the jacuzzis. It doesn't have to be all slumming it. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoy life, but I do it in balance. I can't really drink and stuff much since all of that. I'll have a glass of biodynamic red wine. That's about it. Um, but I'd like to keep myself right anyway. But I will always mindfully eat. I will always think about what does if you crave beetroot or
Mm,
avocado or what do I really need now. So that self care and that self nourish is very important because that keeps me right then in terms of my energy levels and that. Um, and I still have to work on my balance. Like, I am an empath and I am a giver, and I do go out of balance that way because I don't know any difference. So I think that's like for all of us that are in the healing world, trying to balance the two is kind of is a tricky one.
yeah. Yeah. It sounds like astrology's been a huge part of your present life anyway, for sure. And it's something that I guess it's a controversial topic on one hand because some people see it as a bit woo-woo or unrealistic. So if you had a skeptic in front of you and they said to you, sure, this is all ridiculous. What are you talking about? All of this in Saturn, in Mercury and this kind of stuff. What would you say to them?
Ah, well, I hear that all my life. I hear that all the
Yeah.
time. Um,
Just tell
I,
them to
I
F off.
sometimes feel like the Killian Murphy meme. You know the Killian Murphy that sits there and looks.
Oh, I
I
love
do
it.
feel a bit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
well, look, I've walked it. I've walked through the trenches, and I'm
Mm.
here. And um, I would say that I have met the most amazing people on the astrology route. I found the guidance always to be accurate. I called it. In fact, I will say women's intuition, is amazing. Like when you're in tune, and I'm all for good skincare, but I'll never have Botox here because that's going to block my intuition, and I'll never do it. So I like to have my flow, and that's gold to me. So intuition, number one, then astrology. That's kind of how I work. So I tap in, meditate, whatever
Mm.
you're into. If it's like some people tap in when they're cooking or when they're driving or
Yeah.
whatever way, music, whatever you find works for you, great. I
Mhm.
tap in, then I check the planets and I see what are the planets doing today. I look and then I feel into it and I say, okay, there's a shift happening here. We're moving here. And
Mm.
usually when I do it and if I come online and on Instagram and I do it, I'm just doing an ad lib. I don't have any text in front of me. You can probably tell.
Unbelievable.
I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just channeling.
It's
And I have
crazy.
to channel when it comes in, otherwise I lose it. So I have to
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah, because you're so fluent when you're giving these cosmic updates. It is like you've
Yeah.
just read it somewhere, but you're just saying it from the heart, and
No.
it's
Oh
amazing,
yeah.
Sarah. Unbelievable.
Well, it's daunting. It was very daunting at the start of it because I was like, "Oh my God, here I go." But now I really don't care, and I am a 1 degree Aquarian, and we are in the age of Aquarius, and there is that kind of rebellious energy starting to build with the people, because Aquarius energy is all about the people and empowering the people and getting the
Mm,
people together. And these transits this year have been very tough for people. Like, with the year of the snake, all that, those layers where people think they're
yeah,
losing their minds at times. It's
yeah.
been just
I've
so
got my ring
intense.
on me
Yeah.
here, a snake ring.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Intuitively, I
And the
didn't know it
snake
was
is
the
the
year of the
healer.
snake when I bought it. And I remember, when I bought this, I think in Portugal, and apparently that's a symbol in Portugal. And
Yeah.
the lady was just saying how it's a symbol of transformation. And absolutely what you're saying there, it felt like that this year for me too.
Brilliant, because it's death, rebirth, and transformation, and the year of the nine. The last 9 years we've had are ending, so we're ending all those
Yay.
9 years, all of that junk, and we have to just take this time now to reflect and go, was that actually what have I taken from all that? And what am
Mm,
I going to bring forward now into 2026, the year of the horse? It's a 1 year, so it's a start, okay? So it's a masculine energy. It's a fire. So we're going from the kind of the earth and the water. Oh my God, I've got into astrology here, but I just
go
love
for it.
it.
I love
We're,
it.
we're we're moving from like the earth and the water into the fire, the fiery signs of Aries. So we're going to find an air. So we've got air and fire. And some people, some astrologers going, oh no, it's going to be terrible. It's not. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great year because we've done a lot of the healing work and we're moving now into starting the changes. So by the end of January, we're going to have Neptune in Aries. And that's Neptune rules spirituality and Aries rules fire and moving forward. So together, they're going to be like the horses bolting. We're going to get moving on things that need to be done for ourselves. So it's all action, and it's the male. When I say the masculine, I mean it's on a very physical level. And I actually wrote something down. I said I must say this to you. I finally feel myself again, but more steadier. That's the word for next year. I wrote that down just before I came on here. So where we haven't felt ourselves, we're all going to start feeling more like ourselves as we move through the year, and much more steadier, a much better foundation. None of this escapism. There's been a lot of people, be it alcoholism, drugs, addictions, whatever, to try and escape this world. All of that
Yeah.
has been purged out, so that as we move into the year of the horse, that we can move into a more solid version of ourselves and actually create the world we want around us. Spend more time with our families and friends, and embrace more of the love around us, that we've got, and embrace those that who we have here, because so many people have lost so many people in the last 9 years, and it's been very upsetting to everybody. A lot of grief has come up for an awful lot of people. So uh, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and next year is going to be a good year. That's the way I'm reading it at the minute.
I absolutely love that. That is such a positive way to look forward to 2026. I really enjoy your cosmic updates, I have to say, Sarah,
No,
and I
thank
know you have your Instagram page, which we'll talk about at the end. But just going back, there's another thing I notice you do a lot, which is clearing energy. You do have a lot of fantastic videos where you have great tunes, I have to say. You have great tunes, and then you do your clearing of energy. For people, again, who have no idea about this, like, what is it exactly that you're tapping into in those
and
videos?
that's a very good question. Now my teachers will kill me for doing it. I shouldn't be doing it online. And
Okay.
the old school way of thinking, but I feel like, I suppose I felt like if no one's, I can do it, I could do it. So I'll just clear some energy for people. I'll just do it, because I'm a giver, you know.
Mm.
And I work before I do that, I call in the angels. I always work with angelic light. Okay, I don't mess around with anything else. I keep a very very white line, clean line when I work with energy, and God's source light. That's where I go. Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, bring the angels in. And lately, what's happened to me is that's a bit of light language coming through my hands. It's been activated because of the solar flares that are happening. There's a lot of energy activations happening within our DNA, and when you're healers, there's enough a new lot of new modalities coming on. Like I know some people that channel light language through their spoken. And just recently, I've been working with someone that the light language has started. And also, when I'm on my astrology, there's a lot of healers there. I feel some of it's come through from maybe some of your listeners don't know, but from lifetimes like Lemuria, and that is where it's coming from. And I feel that because it's Hawaii, there's a bit of that activation is coming through. So I don't know if I'll keep doing that. To be honest, I did it for a year because it's such a rough year. I just wanted to kind of help and clear the energy where I could.
Mm.
But I love music, and I just felt things got a bit flatlined there, and I was clearing off all the
Yeah,
energy. And I was told that I have codes in my system that can help clear. So
it's
if I can
beautiful.
help, I will, and so
Yeah.
that's what I
Have
do.
you had any
I do
feedback from
imagine,
people
yeah,
on that? Has anyone got in touch with you and said things have changed for them
yeah,
since you've been
yeah,
doing that? Obviously, over the
yeah.
years, you've done many different kinds of healing modalities, but what is one moment that maybe really stands out to you where somebody had a huge kind of reaction and
Uh,
change?
I've had lots.
Mm,
Not to, I keep myself very grounded here because when you're asked questions, you kind of you I try to make sure I communicate in the right way. Come from source. Uh, Honestly, any healing work I've done has worked out. Let's just say, thank God. And
mm,
anything I've done has been God sent, and I feel very blessed that everyone has gone on good. And my readings have been really good in terms of the charts. And I must actually put up some recommend things for that people have said about me, so they can see what I've done. um, I'm more of a doer. I kind of don't I don't any I believe that word of mouth people will start to, coming to me that way, and it'll work out. But I'm kind of about the collective. I'm about giving the
yeah.
message. And I've noticed with Instagram and stuff like that, it's not about who's liking it, because there's people getting the message. Like, I could have thousands watching. Like, one of my posts got something crazy, like 100,000 there, and it was the message. And I was like, well, 100,000 people got that message. I'm delighted because that was the message to be given. And whether they
Mm,
liked the post, it was 7,000 likes, doesn't really matter. It's the
yeah.
message. Once it gets through, because all the social medias, that's not about making money. You don't make money on all that stuff. You
No,
know this. It's impossible.
no.
And I think the challenge for the healing in the holistic world is, how do we monetize healing in a and I feel it needs to come through structure, like through,
Mm,
schools and hospitals and everything. It has to be something that's
yeah.
embedded in that. Okay, you've gone through this. You can go to this holistic practitioner, you can go here, or you can go there and try these
Mm,
different modalities. Because if I didn't do healing or go down the holistic, there's no word, I'd be dead. I'd be gone. There's no chance I'd be here. There's no way,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
the current system, it's not there, you know? And
Unfortunately, they don't really value those. I find, especially even with my own profession, being a teacher,
mm,
it's almost like, well, that's just something you should do. And there's no pay for like the extra things you do, because you're supposed to just accept that that was your calling and that you give so much of yourself. Like, of course, everyone has a job and everyone has to survive and we all have to have, a living. But there are things you do above and beyond that. If you had to charge per hour, you'd be a millionaire for it. But because you're the person that you are, if you're a healer, you're a teacher in any sort of profession like that, you do it without really asking, because money feels a little bit almost dirty in a way,
I would
doesn't
say,
it? When you're a healer, it feels dirty, and we're humans just like everyone else. Well, we're souls in a human body and we have to survive as well. But it's a very tricky question actually that has come up, I know, for many people in the healing area,
I'm
how
going to
we're
call
not
it here.
valued in that
Mm.
way. And yet we can impact people's lives hugely. But yeah, it's a big open question,
I,
isn't it?
I I think teachers are amazing. I've lots of teacher friends, and the work that they do. And let's be honest about it, the system is so far behind how we live at the minute,
Mm,
especially for neurodivergent children. And I channeled last year, there's more and more neurodivergent children coming on stream. They're light beings, and they're more sensitive. They cannot sit in the classroom and do all
no.
these things. And I'm sure teachers are finding it more increasingly harder.
Mm,
Um, they need the life skills. They need to know how to learn empathy. They need to not to learn it, but to be, empathetic human beings, how to earn extra skill sets on how to cope in this world we live in, how to grow plants and and connect with nature, and how to regulate their nervous system, do yoga or meditation, or you know I see in Japan, I shared there recently, where they're blindfolding the children and the teacher's drawing a tree, and then they're drawing the tree, and this kind of stuff is amazing because, this is steering us in humanity in the right direction. I always put it up. I have never used Y is equal to MC squared
Yeah.
since I came out. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
use any Pythagoras' theorems.
Mm.
Like, none of that has been beneficial for me to get through
Yeah.
the life that I've had,
Yeah.
you know?
The sad part
Uh,
is, Sarah, I think a lot of teachers feel the same, but they're in
yeah,
a system where they're following what they're told to do. But I would say within the system, there are teachers, individual teachers that are the light, I guess, in a way. But it is difficult. It's a huge question where, the Industrial Revolution is the reason why schools exist, really. It's like factory workers, and we haven't changed the model of education really that much in over never 150 years. It has to change soon, because the kind of kids we have in front of us now, they're
that's
growing up
the
in an absolutely different world to what it was even when I was a kid. So yeah, that's another conversation, Sarah. But yeah, I think as healers, we're all healers in our field, and compassionate, loving beings. It should be appreciated more, but we don't look for that necessarily, do we? But if it was appreciated more, I think there'd be a better society overall.
I think you're dead right. And awareness is the first part, bringing awareness. And, you hear a lot of things about, tree eye. You see this coming into the media. Um, and my interpretation of this is it's mass awakening. So there's more and more awakened souls, and we're going to go through 3 years of this mass awakening. Being aware, in our generation especially, are feeling it more and more, because they're starting to question, their
Mm,
existence, why they're here and what they're doing here, and what their purpose is. And, this, as you said, the Industrial Revolution, working in that night, like, look at me. I ended up nearly dead, and I lost two good friends on the way, two guys who are really good people, to cancer and different things like that. The stress is a huge
mm,
killer. Our diet, how we eat, our food has been sprayed with crap. You know what I mean? Our everyday, like, even the family unit has been under a huge pressure at the moment because of the cost of living with the food and everything, having to have two parents to work. It's massive pressure on everybody, and people are just existing. And we're supposed to be thriving. We're supposed to be flowing. And the idea of moving from this into a new timeline of this 5D art, if you've heard of it, is about being more harmonious with our
mm,
heart centers and with the people that we live with, and connected with the earth. We don't need to be um cut off from our creativity, how we create in this life. We're not
yeah,
taught in schools to be as creative because of
mm,
all the curriculum and what has to be done, and the pressure the
pressures.
poor teachers are on to do that.
Mm,
um and so it has to be a mindset shift on the collective. We all have to work together on that to bring the change, like get rid of the phones up to a certain age, or bring in, I know I'm a bit outspoken on that, but I really
no,
feel somebody that has had the phone like that,
mm,
they think about all
course, of course.
the the fields all around
The
us, the
radiation, yeah.
radiation. Like, it
Mm,
has to be a contributory factor
yeah,
to
of
that
course.
that tumor
Yeah.
growing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
So,
yeah. Yeah, because I feel that, Sarah, it's a hard thing for me to speak about publicly because I'm still in the system, but I think about young people in front of me every day and the stress that they're under. Like, I see 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds who should be enjoying their life, should be happy, should be joyful, but they're stressed about exams, and it breaks my heart. And
Mhm.
I think about, what is the future they're hoping to have? Like, go to university. Okay, that's going to cost whatever amount of money. You get your degree, you get your master's, and then what? To then try and get a mortgage for a house that you won't afford until you pay off until you're probably in your 60s. You pay a huge amount extra on interest to go to a job that's probably in a city like Dublin, where you're stuck in traffic for 2, 3 hours a day, to hardly see your family. Well, actually, if you're lucky enough to have a family, because you probably don't have time to meet someone because you still have to live in your parents' home. into your 30s in Ireland. It's just so desperately, it's such a problem that we have to wake up and see, is this really why we're here? And everyone just seems to be just accepting it. And I get really sad about it because there's so much more to life than, we obviously do need to make a living, but there are different ways to make a living now. It's not what we've been told for many years. It's all fear-based
All
living, you
fear-based.
know?
And you made a really good point there. One of the you were asking me about the birth charts, and people. I
Mm.
have a lot of single friends like that are in their 40s, right? And they're the most amazing women, right? And there's men too. And men too. Um, and they're all these amazing people, single, great careers, really good people, really sound people. And they're like, Sarah, it's gangster out there. Like the amount of avoidance. I'm hearing these words: avoidance, situationships, ghosting, blocking, all this, it's this whole game thing that's going on in the world. And I'm only getting exposed to it recently because I've been looking at charts and going, right, because I'm really old school. Like when I was in the dating game, it was like you just text or you just, you went to the pub and they were there. There's no one in the pubs now. There's nowhere to meet people, and I see there these parties coming up. But there needs to be a bit of healing around the masculine and the feminine in terms of the respect, and the care and I think this is that kind of a narrative that's come in from social media there to that age group as well, that has made dating very difficult, and all these games and all this stuff going on. Like, now we've come a long ways from maybe from my grandmother met my grandfather on his bicycle like for an hour every 2 weeks, and then they got married, not knowing each other. Um, Somewhere in the middle might be good, if we could pull it back a little bit to the 80s, or the 90s when there was fun, you went to concert, that's just my experience. But the good
Yeah.
thing to know is with the charts, you can actually check somebody else's chart. So when you get their time of birth, you can check it. So I'd be putting funny memes up because anyone that knows this. So you put it on and you can see the percentage compatibility. And
Mm.
this is another reason why I got into astrology, is because I have a vision and I said, this will be my way of bringing peace to the earth. If I can match enough people harmoniously, then it means there's peace, because if they've peace at home and if they plan on
Mm.
having a family or not, the children will have that peace. And that's a way, because peace
Yeah.
starts at home.
That's
We have it in our
beautiful.
house,
Yeah,
and then it
you're right.
trickles out at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what you're telling me, Sarah, when I meet a man, I can send you on the first question I need to
Gorgeous.
ask him is what's your birth date and your year, and I'll
This is
send
the
it on to
new
you, and you
trend.
can tell me if it's okay or not, if I can go ahead.
The new trend is, what's your time of birth?
Yeah. I love it. That's a business in itself there, Sarah, okay? That's your next business upcoming.
Well, I got.
So
I was gifted the twin flame codes by a lovely lady in America, who read my chart, and she said, "You've been lifetimes at this, Sarah. You've crossed many seas. You've done a lot."
yeah.
And I said, "Well, it's about time I started using it somehow."
I love it. I mean, I'm so excited to find out so much more about you, Sarah. So maybe at some stage I'll have you back again because I feel like I could talk to you for hours, you know? You're one of those women. I already felt that when we first connected. I was like, I could have the crack with this girl, you know? Um, but just to finish up, because we've got a special section called Soul Sparks, and I have a few little questions just to kind of round up some other things that maybe we haven't found out about you. Um, but the first question I was going to ask, and I asked almost all my guests, was what book changed something for you, or some information in particular that really changed your life in some way?
I think, to be fair, I think The Secret was the first
Yeah.
one, to Rhonda Byrne. To be
Mm.
fair, that was the first. Like,
Oh,
I have other ones like Vex King, Good Life. I like his quotes. And then
yeah.
I have this massive astrology book that I love. The name of it, I can't remember the name of it.
Wow.
Oh, it's written here. It says, "The only astrology book you'll ever need."
Need. Perfect. Great title.
I just put in
And
there, I don't need loads of books, just one.
that's amazing. I love it. What is a mantra you say to yourself often and you live by?
To thine own self be true, and it will follow.
Oh, good old Shakespeare. Love it. I love that one. If you could relive one day, not to change it, but to feel it again, which day would it be?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
let that land.
It's probably a very simple day when I was in my last house, when I was with the kids playing with them on the floor. I
Oh,
know that sounds really silly,
beautiful.
but I felt like, oh my God, I get to be here with my children. I have time. We can sleep in. We can just chill out on the sofa and we can play, and there's nothing going to bother us. I had the fire lighting. I think it was around Christmas time. Oh, and I know that day I put on some snow gear on them, and they went out and made snow angels outside in the snow. That was a good
Oh,
day.
it's
That was
beautiful.
the best, you know.
Oh, it sounds gorgeous. And finally, what is your soul craving most at this stage of your journey, Sarah, going forward in life?
I have to help. Like I feel it. Like I've let this tumor and all this keep me down for long enough, you know. That's why I'm active on I'm trying to get it going and just get working with the algorithms and all the crap with it, but as well as working with people and helping people, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help. I just want to help, whatever way that's to be. And I'm like, I'm here, I have a purpose. I'm here to help. I'm heart led, help humanity in whatever way I can. And I know I'm a 1 degree Aquarian in the age of Aquarius, so I have a 20-year window to really work it if I can, you know. Please God, all going well.
Oh, it's such a magical thing that you're doing. And I think just even hearing your story today, Sarah, I felt myself very emotional. And it's just the reason I'm doing this podcast is for people like you that have a story that's not being heard but needs to be heard. And I think you're reminding us of there are such thing as miracles, but also the fact that we have the power to create the life we really want. That's what I've taken from you today, which has been just so, so beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome. And thank you for having me here. I just hope that people realize, you know, when we do healing with people and that everyone has a story. Every
Yeah,
single one of us has a story. And it's up to us to create the world we want. And we have the power within us. You just have to ask for divine guidance, whatever way
yeah,
that is. And it'll show up and you will always be protected and find your way. But it's hope. I'm here to bring hope. And that's what I just want to share with everybody. There is hope, there is light. It's going to get better. And I believe that, you know, for truth for all of us, you know.
yeah.
So with
Thank
my
you.
heart to you, thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Gorgeous. And if people want to get in touch with you or see the work that you do, how can they find you, Sarah?
I suppose Astara Healing on Instagram, and if they're not there, well, I don't have my website up and going. I need to get that going next. See, this is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's big into IT. I should really ask him, but I'm trying to transition from, as I said, you know, from this whole tumor thing into this world. So
Mm,
I've been reading birth charts. I've been working on healers, to be honest. I've been healing healers a lot, or
mm,
people that work with groups of people, like, you know, Pilates instructors or yoga
mm,
instructors, or people that work with a lot of people. That's what has been where I've been placed at the minute. But
yeah.
I hope to go online soon, so that people can book me for an hour online and I can read their chart online and that kind of thing. And
Wow. I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like there'll be a lot of people wanting that, especially when you go down the romance side. A lot of women want to find a man, so they need you, Sarah. We need you in the world. We need men to also come to you.
Oh, well, I had one person say to me, I read her chart. She goes, Sarah, I don't know what you're after doing. All my exes are calling me back.
No, I'm okay with that. I don't need that one. I
I
want a
said,
fresh new man.
don't
Bring me a fresh
reply.
new. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure, Sarah. And like I said, I could talk to you for hours, and I can't wait to actually meet you in person.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just been a dream. So thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Hi there. If you're hearing this message, that means you have stayed with us until the end. If anything resonated with you today about Sarah's journey, or you simply would like to give some feedback in the comments below, it's truly welcomed. And hit the follow button for more honest chats like these. Thank you.